Okay, let me just press record. All right, welcome everyone. We are doing our deep dive into Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, first canto, chapter 2, which is basically covering the entire content of the Bhagavatam itself. It has the 9 stages, or also 14 stages of bhakti. And we are doing a deep dive into the whole chapter. We're memorizing the whole chapter. And we're on verse 13. And so, a little invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So as we said, we're covering the entire chapter 2 Bhagavatam in this course. And today we are on verse 13. That's correct. Let me check. Tapumbir Dvijashreshta. I think that's at our Sunushtitashta. Dharmasya, chapter 13. Atapumbir Dvijashreshta. Yes, that's text 13. So I'll just do some invocations. Well, I'll just recite the verses that we've covered so far. Vyasuvacha iti samprashna samhrishto vipranam ramaharshanai pratipujasvachastejam pravaktum upachakrame yam pravajantamanupetamapetyak. That's Sutavacha. That's one little line we had. Don't forget that. Yam pravajantamanupetamapetyakritya tvaipayano virahakatra ajuhava putriti tanmayataya taravo vinedus tam sarvabhuta hidayam munim anatosmi yasvanubhavamakilam shutasaramekam adyatma deepam atitir tishatam tamandam samsarinam kurnayaha purana guhyam tam vyasa sunam upayami guru muninam narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottama devam saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet monaya sadhu prishtoham bhavadvir lokamangalam yatkuta krishna samprashno yenatma suprasidati savai pum samparo dharmo yato bhakti radhokshaje ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. That's Vasudevi Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janati Ashubhairagyam Jnanam Chayaduhaitakam Dharma Shwanushtita Pumsa Vikshvaksena Katasuyat Notpadayat Yadiratim Shrama Eva Hikevalam Dharmasya hyapavargyasya nartartayok pakalpate nartasya dharma kantasya kamolabhaya hismitaha kamasya nindriya pritir jivasya tattva jigyasa nartoyascheha karmabihi vadanti tattvavidas tattvadyach jnanam advayam Prameti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Shabjate. And what's the next? Next one is, what is the next verse? Text 12. Okay, I'm going to touch Shadana Munayo Janaragya Yuktaya Vashanti Atmini Chatmanam Bhaktya Shrutta Grihitaya. And today's verse, Atapum Birduja Sheshta Varnashami Vibhagashaha Shwanustitasya Dharmasya Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. And so just again do little short overview of the verses that we've covered. First 5 verses, first 5, no 6 verse, what is verse 6? First 6 verses is actually, it is glorifying, it's dignifying, it is offering respects to the sage of the guru, the guru who is like the guru of all the munis, Sukadeva Goswami. The speaker himself, Sutta Goswami, glorifying his guru. And then he's also glorifying the sages for their great questions. Iti samprashna samhrishto. Perfect questions, perfect answers. He's glorifying them for their wonderful questions. And then also the answers that he's getting from Shukadeva Goswami. And then in verse 7, he begins to answer verse 7 and 8. He begins to answer 6 and 8, 6 and 7, 6 and 7, 6 and 7. He begins to answer the questions that were previously asked in the first chapter. What is most essential? What is of the greatest value? What is the essence of all sacred literature? And so he states, Savai Pumsam Parodharma, Paradharma, the supreme dharma is that by which you get bhakti, get this loving devotion unto the Supreme Lord. And in the next verse, he says, Ganavairagyam, he says, Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janati Astu Vairagyam Jnanam. So very quickly, there are byproducts that you get in devotional service, and those byproducts are knowledge and detachment. Janati Astu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayadu Haitikam. And then he begins to elaborate on this subject of bhakti. He's already stated in verse 6 that bhakti is something that is unmotivated, is without a haituki, it's without a cause, it's without some kind of thing that is saying, I want to engage in this connection, this love to get something, and it is uninterrupted. Apratihata, it is not something that is done for a particular period of time and then you achieve your goal and you give up. It is something that is eternal. Ahaituki pratihata. And so now he begins to elaborate on it. Dharma svanushtita pumsa vikshvakshena katasya. Dharma svanushtita pumsa vikshvakshena katasya. So one thing he describes is the 4 types of things that are considered of goals of purushartha. Artha means end, goal, value, wealth. These are different meanings of the word artha. Like if you have something unwanted, unvaluable in your heart, it's called an anartha, unvaluable. And so the purusharthas are understood in the Vedic culture: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. And so these 4 purusharthas are given. And so he begins to explain what is actually dharma for. Dharma svanushtita pumsa. So this, he says, dharma that doesn't produce rati, shrama evikivam. If it doesn't lead to love and attraction to the Supreme, then it is you're just shrama. You're wasting your time. You're working hard for nothing. Why dharmasya apavargasya? Dharma is for ultimate liberation. Dharmasya apavargasya narto artaya. And it's not for economic development. It is not for gratification of the senses. And even material desires, kamasya nindriya pratir, our material desires, what we should desire is just a healthy body, because this life, jivasya tattva jigyasa, this life is for self-realization. No other goal should be the goal of our karmic activities, our karma, our duties in life. The next verse is, then he begins to explain what is that absolute truth, what is that tattva jigyasa, what is that thing that we're trying to understand. And so he begins to explain that there are 3 stages of God realization. those who are knowers of the truth, they see this non-dual substance. They know it by three different names: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Three different stages of God realization. And then verse 12 we just did is last week. Tatshadana muneo janaraya gyayuktaya janati ashuvairaga pashanti atmani chatmanam bhaktishuta gritaya. So any of these three stages, they become accessible through the path of bhakti. Jnanam and vairagyam can be ingredients for the path of yoga or the path of jnana. Those can be, but they still need this bhakti, bhaktya shutta grihitaya. And so this is all followed by the direction of the ancient tradition, the shutta, the shrutis. And this is accessible by those who have shraddha, great eagerness, great willingness to participate. So now we are on our 13th verse. Let me just pull it up. Database.com. First canto for chapter 2, text 13. Let me make it a little bit bigger. I'll share the screen. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Oh, computer. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, here we go. Hello, computer. Atta Pumbir Dvija Shreshta. Shreshta. Where do we know this word? Shreya Uttamam. The best. Where do we, what else? What is this verse? What great person does, common men follow. Shreshta. Atta Pumbir Dvija Shreshta. Varnashrama Vibhagasha Shvanushtitasya Dharmasya. So swa is this prefix which means one's own. Shvanushtitasya Anushtitasya Swanushtitasya Dharmasya Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. You probably know the siddhi means perfection, like the yogic powers or the siddhis, the yogic powers. And sang is that prefix which means complete, the highest perfection. Haritoshanam. Haritoshanam. So translation. O best among the twice born. It is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging duties prescribed for one's occupation, one's occupation, according to the caste divisions and orders of life, is to please the personality of Godhead. Purport. Human society all over the world is divided into four orders, four castes and four orders of life. So this is a universal thing. You have in every part of the world, you have those who have kind of intellectual occupations, Those are the teachers. Those are the like medical, medical profession. That is a kaviraj is those, anything that is very intellectually dominated. This is the Brahmanas. Now, in the Vedic culture, it's not that you just have the job, but you're a certain type of duties and characters that are meant to be cultivated. That you're supposed to be, a Brahmana is supposed to be very honest. So in every society, you have the head, intellectuals. You have those who tend to show some heroism, some heroic qualities, some leadership qualities. You have those who tend to, in all circumstances, learn how to start some kind of business. They have people work for them. They learn. They have this ability to also just even produce food for others. That is called Vaishya. And then you have the majority, or mostly finding themselves working for somebody. That is called Shudra. Out of 1,000, 900 will be, working for somebody. 90 will be running a business or a farm or something like that. 9 will have some kind of leadership position, governmental position. And 1 will have this kind of philosophical, kind of intellectual leader. That's more of a rare case. Our society it's quite mixed. You have teachers and philosophers being employees, so it becomes very confusing. The Brahmanas are actually meant to be, each one is meant to be a greater stage of independence, not depending on salary, not depending on some kind of stipend, where the person actually just has this great dependency upon God. And so the Brahmana, a true Brahmana, he will not take any type of salary. He will simply live on donations. And this way he is able to give very clear advice. He cannot be paid off by anybody. Okay. The 4 castes are the intelligent caste, the martial caste, the productive caste, and the laborer caste. These castes are classified in terms of one's work and qualification, not by birth. So this is how things actually became degraded in India. Over time came this understanding, this degradation, that people thought, I am a Brahmana because my father is a Brahmana. I am a Brahmana, or I'm a Kshatriya because my father is a Kshatriya. Now, the term that is given for someone who is born of a Brahmana is called Brahmabandhu. It's not something that is granted by birth, but by cultivation. One must cultivate the Brahminical qualities. So that is very old. What is it? Jabali Rishi. There was a very old story given in the Upanishads of a great sage, and how he came to be so, how he became the one of the great authorities of Vedic wisdom, was that he was the son of a prostitute. And as a son of a prostitute, he went to there we go. And as a son of a prostitute, he went to the ashram of the Guru, the Guru Kula, the home of the Guru, the Kula, the home, the school of the Guru. And he explained that he wanted to join the school. Now, if you apply to any school, you have to give your information. You have to give who's your mother, who's your father, how did you, you have to give some kind of reference. And so in this way, he applied for the school. And so when he went to the school, the teacher, the guru naturally asked him, who is your mother? What is your gotra? What is your family line? Just getting some information of the student. And the student says, well, I don't know who my family line is. So he went back and he asked his mother. And so when he went back to ask his mother said, you may use my name as your last name. Just use my name, because you know, I don't know who your father is. It could have been this guy, it could have been that guy, could have been this guy, it could have been that guy, it could have been this guy. And so he said, just tell the guru my name as the last name. Don't tell him anything else. And so Brahmana, this boy, he went back to the guru and he said, actually, my mother lives as a prostitute, and so she doesn't know who my father is. And she told me to use her name as my last name. And so the guru said, actually, then therefore you're a Brahmana because you're honest. So this is the number one characteristic. So janati Brahmana janati Brahma janati Brahmana. That a Brahmana is one who knows spirit. That is there are certain characteristics, and then this is certain understandings. And the Brahmana should have this swanubhavam. He should understand these things, and he should have certain characteristics. So we continue. Then there are 4 orders of life. You have student life, household life, retired, and that's kind of semi-renounced, and the fully renounced devotional life. In the best interest of human society, there must be such divisions. Otherwise, no social institution can grow in a healthy state. So if you're not cultivating the head of society, if you're not trying to make intellectual leaders, if you only have employees, if you only have military leadership, if you only have, and practically we find our government is ruled by the business. You find this decline through history. There was degradation of the intellectual class, the Brahmanas, and so society rejected the Brahmanas, and it became very much just ruled by the kings, the royalty. They became degraded, and then you reject the royalty. And you have the businessmen. The businessmen are, they have the greatest strength in the political system. And when the businessmen become too heavily corrupted, then people will move towards communism. They'll reject that type of leadership. So before you had this theocracy, but it was done by great guidance of the Brahmanas. Actually, the Brahmanas are you have the 4 different social systems, and you have basically 4 different governmental systems. The Brahmanas are just they're for anarchy. They have no need for government. If you had a whole world full of Brahmanas, you'd have no need for government because they're self-governing. They're simple. They don't need that type of governance. That's the situation in Satyuga. So you have the Brahmanas, anarchy is fine for them. And you have the Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas, of course, there's monarchy, or you could even have dictatorship. It could be there. Then the Vaishyas are into capitalism, and the Shudras are into communism. Now, all these, you find that you need, like communism, one of the issues with communism is that you're taking away the natural ability of, it's like saying, now the legs will do what the stomach does. The business people have the best ability to distribute goods, to make trade, to distribute grains, distribute food, to make these resources available. And to eliminate that say, have a class of society, and it's okay, we'll just have all of us be like legs and no stomach, no arms and no head. But we find that even in a communist society, you have these different elements there. And oftentimes there is some struggle to have a financially stable situation because you don't have the healthy institution that is there. Okay, continue on. In the best interests of human society, there must be divisions of life. Otherwise, no social institution can grow into a healthy state. In each every one of the above mentioned divisions, the aim must be to please the supreme authority of the personality of Godhead. 1 second. This institutional function of human society is known as a system as Varnashram Dharma. It is quite natural for the civilized life. The Varnashram institution is constructed to enable one to realize the absolute truth. Now, if you're watching on Facebook, you're welcome to direct message me if you have any questions or if you want to join into the live video. It is not for artificial domination of one division over another. When the aim of life, i.e. realization of the absolute truth, is missed by too much attachment to the Indriya Priti, that is from the, 10th verse of this chapter, or sense gratification, as already discussed here and before. The institution of the Varnashram is utilized by selfish men to pose as an artificial predominance over the weaker section. In the Kali Yuga, on the age of quarrel, this artificial predominance is already current. But the saner section of people know it well, that the divisions of caste and orders of life are meant for smooth social intercourse and high-thinking self-realization, and not for any other purpose. Here in the statement of the Bhagavatam is that the highest aim for life, or the highest perfection of the institution of Varnashram Dharma, is to cooperate jointly for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 4.13. What is that? Chaturvarnya maya shishtam guna karma vibhagasha. That is that these four varnas are actually divinely created, but they're divided according to the guna and karma. One is considered a brahmana, a kshatriya, a vaishya, a shudra by their qualities and by their actions, not janma. Tasyakartaram apimam vidikartaram avayam. So this is found everywhere. It's just one has to learn to cultivate the various qualities. Now let's see, I have some notes here. So some notes, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. So he reaffirms this verse from verse 8. That is Dharmasya Pavargyasya. That Dharma is meant for ultimate liberation. Otherwise, it's just a waste of time. And then he quotes 10th Canto, chapter 14, verse 4 and 5. And he quotes 1:5:12, I believe. 12. I think I know that. Let's just look it up. All right. Oh, yes. So even jnana, even spiritual knowledge, even though it's free from all material affinity, if it's even naishkarmya, non-karmic things, even though it's free from the material qualities, it does not look well if it's devoid of the conception of the infallible. If it is vivarjitam, if it's achyuta bhava vivarjitam, it's devoid of the conception of God. So even spiritual things are not great if they're devoid of the conception of God. So what to speak of less spiritual things, karmic things, which you work hard, this is specifically speaking about Vedic karmic things, where you do rituals that are sometimes tedious, naturally painful at the very beginning, to get something at the end, to get some kind of better material situation. But those material situations means it's transient by nature, if they're not utilized for the devotional service of the Lord. So Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur quotes that verse and two other verses. And then he brings up a doubt. Well, what if giving up at jnana and yoga, these are the two other paths, and also giving up the nitya karmas, like the duties that people do in like Hindu or Vedic culture, won't that lead to horrible outcomes? And so the answer, this verse answers, jnana and yoga are nice, but they only give results if there's an element of bhakti. But bhakti gives results without the existence of jnana and yoga. There seems to be also, I think he was pulling in this as a comment for the previous verse. Jnana vairagi yuktaya. Maybe there was an error in the editing of this, because a lot of the elements of this purport by Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur seems to be related to the previous verse. Anyway, I think they put them together. But where Shutta Grihitaya, again, this is from the previous verse, Vijay Goswami. He says that these elements of the previous verse show that bhakti is very hard to attain. That rare bhakti is attained even from performing one's dharma, if dharma is endowed with pleasing the Lord. So this is how it's connecting to this verse. So the whole point of the varnashram thing, the whole that you can actually become a kind of, you say, dutiful or religious brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, shudra, and it's called karma, nishkama karma yoga. You just work in this world, you perform your duties as an offering unto the Supreme Lord, and that is samsiddhir hari bhushanam. That's one of the methods of actually bringing pleasure to the Supreme Lord. This is the Nishkama Karma Yoga. Actually, this verse was quoted to Lord Chaitanya in the Chaitanya Charitamrita when he was asking different questions, and he was asking for something deeper and deeper and deeper. And this was a little bit into it, but he was saying this is actually just external. We really want to get to the heart of it. So this verse is dealing a little bit with the external, with the varnashram system, but it's pointing out that the varnashram system, the point of it is to actually develop devotion. Goal of dharma is undertaken faultlessly with great effort. Shvanishtitasya. It is ultimately to please the Lord. Using dharma to gain swarga is most unsuitable. Okay, so we'll just go to the verse and we'll practice a few times. Atapumbir. Oh wait. There we go. Carmen and Dana K. Late joiners. Hare Krishna. Where are you guys? Harbo, Dana K, and Carmen. We just finished reading the purport and some of the commentary. So this verse, just a little summary, this verse is saying that Varnashrama, the system of the four Varnas and the four ashrams, is actually just meant for pleasing the Supreme Lord. So we're just going to jump into practicing the verse. And read the translation again. O best among the twice born, it is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging duties prescribed for one's own occupation according to caste divisions and orders of life is to please this personality of Godhead. Ata pumbir, pumbir. This is a pumsam purusha. This is human, a person. Ata pumbir dvija shreshta. Anybody know what does dvija mean? Let me share the screen again. Carmen, do you know what Dvija means?
No.
And Denike, Dvija?
Well, it's something with two?
Yes. So Ja is for Janma. Janma means birth.
Sure.
So there's Dvija means someone who has two births, one who is born from the mother, but also one who is born has taken their next birth in the Vedic wisdom. So that is usually the Brahmanas. They're called Dvija because but also the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, they enter into like kind of a higher educational program of understanding culture and life and philosophy. And so when they enter the school, that is called the second birth, Dvija. Also, birds are Dvija because they're born once. Mother gives birth to an egg, and then they come out of the egg, and then it's again born again. Dvija. But the best of the Brahmanas is the Vaishnava, because he not only knows something about Brahman, he actually knows what is Brahman. As we said, Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. He understands the highest realization. So here they're being glorified as the Shreshta, Shreya Uttamam, the highest. What was that verse? Yet achariti Shreshtas. Whatever a great person does, the common people follow. Atapumbir Dvija Shreshta. I can repeat. Varnashrama Vibhagashaha. Atapumbir Dvija Shreshta. Varnashrama Vibhagashaha. Atapumbir Dvija Shreshta. Varnashrama Vibhagashaha. Shonushtitasya dharmasya. Shonushtitasya dharmasya. Samsidir haritoshanam. Samsidir haritoshanam. Okay, so he's saying, oh, best of the Brahmanas, oh, you great devotees. So persons who are in the Varna and Ashram, the four caste and the four ashrams, which is Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa, the four stages of life. The best way, these according to their own specific situation, the best way that they the way that they take advantage of the situation is it has to be connected to the pleasure of the Lord, Haritoshanam. And in this way they achieve siddhi, perfection. It is therefore concluded the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging one's prescribed duties for one's occupation, according to caste divisions and orders of life, is to please the personality of Godhead. So it's not just not just duty for the sake of duty. It is duty for the sake of Haritoshanam, the pleasure of the Lord. Any questions? Vishaka, you have any question? Huh?
What color? The tree.
The color is the tree. Well, Varna means also can be said to the word color. The color of the tree. What tree? That tree is green. Okay, that's not related to the class. The class is the whole point of the system of Kshatriyas, Brahmanas, Vaishyas, Shudras, Brahmacharis, Sannyas, Grihas, Vanapras is just the whole goal of it is just Haritoshana. If you're doing it for anything else, then you're not kind of miss the point.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Any reflections, Dana K?
Not yet. I love this word though, Haritoshana.
Haritoshana, yeah. Haritoshana. Let's see.
And just really, I guess, reminds me to always, what's my intention behind what I'm doing, no matter what. And is it Haritoshana?
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, this is kind of moving people out of the idea of just like if you asked somebody, in India on the street, what's the point? They'll say, what's the point of all this religious dharma? And they'll say, just work for the sake of duty. Just do your duty. Just be dutiful. But here it's saying that these duties, these dharmas, actually they're meant for Haritoshana. They're actually meant for the pleasure. That's the whole kind of aim, and that's the whole one of the benefits of being involved in the Varnashram culture is that it has an underlying it's kind of pinned on this point of Haritoshanam. Even if one is not directly understanding it, they're vicariously they're getting connected in devotional service. Just like if you're born in America, vicariously you're getting connected to beer ads and so many other things. It's just all around you. So if you're in the Varnashram culture, vicariously you're connected to Haritoshanam, pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because you have, like, for the 4 ashrams also, the first ashram, brahmacharya, there's going to be so much Brahman, there'll be so much focus on spirit, on God. Then, grihastha, there's going to be so much focus on service to others and also service to the sadhus. Again, with the vanaprastha, again, there's a refocus on Brahman, on disconnecting from material pursuits. And finally, sannyas. Satnyasa, to give up everything for the sake of sat, to give up everything for the sake of connecting to the supreme truth. So this is so the whole thing is for Haritoshanam. How about you, Carmen? Any reflections or anything you can take home today?
From what I heard, it kind of reminded me of something I read, I think it was yesterday or the day before. But it was like talking about love to the Supreme. And it was talking about intention. And the way you show intention to Krishna is also by showing that to the devotees. So if you're like treating the devotees a little differently, then it kind of shows Krishna like your intention.
Okay, yes. Yeah, that the first level of devotee is called kanishta or prakrita, and that person only sees their spiritual connection through the deity and the guru and disregards the devotees of Krishna. The second level, he is worshiping his Lord, he is honoring his devotees, she is helping those who are innocent, and also neglecting or avoiding those who have antagonism towards God. So that second level is that you see this, you actually begin to see the where people are at, and also to honor those who are on a spiritual path and have great affection and respect for them. Anything else?
My mind kind of went to like, I guess it can be like a little bit challenging when you're like being like kind to the devotees and stuff, but then when they start to like talk negatively to you or say something or do something, and then you like express it and then they continue, it's a little bit frustrating. It's like you can still remain kind, but I don't know how to explain it. It's like you still have to see them like devotional.
Yeah, that's nectar of instruction. Here you go. Nectar of instruction. So now you have the first 4 verses, 6 things that qualify someone to become a world-class teacher. 6 things that are not good for your spiritual life. That's verse 2. 6 things that are good for your spiritual life. And then here you have the 6 things that how you relate with love, with the devotee. Now, how do you relate to the different types of devotees? Is it the same for every single devotee? Do you reveal your mind to every single person? And so this verse 5 says, Krishneti yasya giritam manasajiyeta. So a person who chants Hare Krishna, we mentally honor them. That might mean that there is some distance. Someone who just chants, but maybe they don't behave properly. We just manasajiyeta. Mentally honoring means the opposite of mentally hating on them. That we don't meditate constantly on them in a hateful mood. That means we might have a healthy distance. Dikshasti chet praniti bish bhajatam cha isham shushushaya bhajana vijnana ananyanya nidati shunya hidi ipsita sangalabha. The second level is that one should offer a humble obeisance a person who's undergone spiritual initiation and is engaged in worshiping the deity. So someone who is qualified to worship the deity, one who is, following nicely, we offer our obeisances to. This one, we're not even getting close enough to offer obeisance to. We just mentally honor them. What if it's a mafia guy who likes Krishna? What if it's, who knows what kind of character? Anybody can worship Krishna. We might, we just mentally honor them. It's not that we go and ask them, how do we start a business? If they're a mafia person, we might not ask them how to, live our life or start an honest business. We might not get the best advice. But someone who is following nicely, we offer our obeisances unto. And then this is the very highest elevated person. That is the person who's, and the one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. And so this is the one that we try to, we really try to get their mercy. If you find someone who is very advanced and that they're not on the habit of nindadi, blasphemy of others, and that they're ananyam, their heart is without deviation, it's just completely bhajana vijnanam, advanced in devotional service, then we try to we take shelter of such a devotee. And then but we always practice a little bit of Gangam style. Here, this is a Gangam. Gangabasam nakalud budbhader paner toker. That we try not to see the bodily defects of a person, born of a low family, bad complexion, diseased, informed body. We could even take this as their intellectual, their kind of subtle pollution, and just try to see the devotional elements of their consciousness. And that's why sometimes astrology and some Ayurveda, it helps you to see a person beyond their conditioning. You say, okay, that's just the conditioning, and how much are they taking shelter of the conditioning? We decide how close or how distant we might be, but we can still honor the underneath the conditioning, the expression of the true soul that's there, the soul engaging in Shuddha Bhakti or devotional service. Is that helpful?
Yeah. Another thing that came to mind is also like the analogy of like the elephant and the dirt and the water. We're like so covered, and when we like start to like wash that off, there's gonna be times where like greed or envy or lust or anything like that shows through. And so it's something that I read, I think it was also yesterday. We have to, in a way, like be tolerant. I believe that's what it said. We have to be tolerant, but also like be safe. Like if it's a dangerous situation, then obviously, we remove ourselves. But if it's just like a tiny little thing, that person is also still cleansing, and so are we. So we're gonna make mistakes, but we also have to learn patience, tolerance, and forgiveness.
Very nice, right? It's just like if you're in a hospital, one side, we don't criticize those who, we have no legs, and we're laughing at the person who has no arms. They have some other practitioner may have impurities, or they may have what you call, negative qualities that are there. But at the same time, in a hospital, if someone is really sick and you go in their association, it might be, as you said, dangerous. So you're tolerant, but you're also still not completely abandoning your own protection. If someone is mistreating you, that can be damaging for your own psychology and your own ability to engage in devotional service, unless you are like a great sadhu that is unaffected by everything and you can tolerate anything. So, knowing our boundaries, but also understanding, that, a person can't really hurt me. Oftentimes my ego gets hurt in various ways, and many times I can figure out what can I tolerate, what is actually not really going to impede my devotional service. There's so many times we become upset because our external ego becomes hurt, but it doesn't actually affect our real self. It can't harm soul itself. But we can put obstacles in our devotional service so we can, avoid unsafe situations, at the same time practice tolerance. Anything else?
No.
All right. Well, I think we'll stop here. We have a little bit of early stop. Everybody is enjoying the weather today, so we're missing a lot of people. Well, thank you very much. Om Tat Sat. Thanks a lot. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.